I'm Dr. Steve Nagel. I own and operate 180 Health Solutions, your health restoration clinic.
The next section is on addressing phase 1 possible side effects. And in this section, most of the interventions foundationally are going to be how's your water, how's your salt, but we will get into deeper aspects on each section. So with leg cramps, the number one question I ask my clients if they're getting them is, how was your water intake today? And did we get up to our 2 teaspoons of good quality salt? Because foundationally, they're that important. We can increase our potassium-rich foods, so that's gonna be our dark leafy greens, fish. We can do something like an Epsom salt foot bath or a regular bath. You can even close the tub and then just do it while you take a shower. That way we're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. We're remineralizing at the same time that we're taking a shower. We can supplement, so like magnesium glycinate or potassium can be great options. But I typically start with the first half, and most times that alleviates things.
You may be asked to be taking something called an adrenal cocktail, and that is where we're consciously getting extra minerals into your system, including your unrefined salt and some form of potassium. And so oftentimes, as we start to decrease inflammation and as we cut carbs, that along with those carbohydrates that are normally going into the cells, essentially that's taking extra minerals into the cells too. So when we stop doing that, the body will start to purge extra minerals from the system. That's what we start to see when we're down regulating inflammation as well, is the body will purge extra fluid, because inflammation have you retain fluid, but with that it takes minerals. And so what can happen is a person can start to develop cramping and that sort of thing. Also, diuretics, blood pressure medications also will cause a cycle that causes the body typically to purge extra potassium and extra salt. And so we end up with salt deficiencies, which can cause a rebound increase in blood pressure itself, as well as the muscle cramping and a whole myriad of other problems when we're salt deficient. And so a lot of times people have been recommended to stop taking salt. But a question I always ask is, when we look at cows out in the pasture, and any rancher that you ever know will say, yes, we give our animals extra salt and minerals because the ground is depleted. So they take, the salt blocks and the minerals because they need that extra minerals, because we're just not getting it. If we think about how we consumed water itself before we had modern day distillation of water and things like that, it always had minerals in it. We were drinking it from spring water or along the river and things where it was pulling those minerals in, and we were consuming those minerals. And so adding minerals to your water is really important too.
Absolutely. And I think on the note of the adrenal cocktail, if we're doing it the 2 times per day, that's a 1/4 teaspoon in the morning and a 1/4 teaspoon in the afternoon. Just make sure that you factor that into your daily salt intake.
Yes.
Perfect. The next section is on constipation. Constipation may or may not happen with you. If it does, sometimes it's just math. There's less food going in you, there's less food going out. So a few things that we can do to alleviate that is we can add water and salt, foundational. Make sure that we're minimally getting our 1 cup of vegetables, 1 cup of fruit, and really lean into your freebies. Those add bulk to the stool, so we can help keep things moving. We can add in light activity. Light activity, like especially twisting, can be so good, like seated twist, lying on the floor. All of those are really beneficial. We can even add in what's called a constipation massage. Feel free to reach out to your coach if you feel like you're getting a little backed up or maybe not evacuating fully. We can add in any of those practices, and we can share that information of how the constipation massage works.
And we'll say that there are times when people are going through the program, and the program itself, as we start to get healthier or we start to remove different foods, it can bring out underlying problems that maybe that we didn't notice or we didn't realize they were before, because our general diet was so stimulatory towards the digestive tract or whatever the case may be. And so making sure your coach is updated if you're having any of these new symptoms pop up. Just know that it's probably rather common and nothing we've dealt with before. There are times, however, when further investigation or further testing is needed, whether it's stool testing or maybe some food allergy testing, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So if you're ever interested in those, your provider can go over those, or you can always touch base with me if we feel like a testing might be appropriate. Plateaus in weight loss is the next section. Plateaus in weight loss are bound to happen at some point in time, but a true plateau is 5 days at the same weight. So just remember, we might still be losing inches even if the scale isn't moving. Sometimes people come down in chunks, but things foundationally that we can do to break stalls or to break plateaus, we can foundationally have our water and our salt, we're hydrated at a cellular level, and we have proper electrolytes, then the body can prioritize burning our own fat as fuel.
Potassium is very important for the weight loss process, and so if we become deficient in potassium, that can really limit our progress.
Absolutely. And that doesn't mean getting potassium from your bananas. Make sure that I feel like that's one that I hear often.
Yeah.
So make sure, like, get familiar with your phase 1 foods and take pictures of those foods and favorite them in your phone. So that if you go out to eat or when you go to the grocery store, you always know what your foods are. I think I did preface that in a different video if you've seen it, but I think it's worth repeating.
Like Jana said, with plateaus, your body composition may still be changing. And so not worrying about it too much. There are times of the month, specifically for women, that tend to be more likely to retain some water. And so you may see a fluctuation where you don't move for a few days and then things drop. And so that's something to be aware of as well.
Absolutely. And if those things are happening, let's talk through where you're at in your cycle and how those things might be affecting. Fatigue and low mood is another section within your manual. In this, you might feel that your system is getting bogged down a little bit. That's what the energy complex is supposed to help with. And again, water and salt can help with that fatigue and low mood if you're experiencing it.
Most people will feel great once they start making those changes and we get inflammation down, we start to reverse that insulin resistance. There are some people though, if they're extremely carbohydrate dependent, as the body's going through changes, we just ask you to be patient with the process because you may be fatigued for a week, for a few days, but it should come around within a couple weeks.
Absolutely. The immune support is another section. If you ever feel like your system is getting really bogged down, again, I can't express enough getting our water and getting our salt to help flush the system, to help hydrate it at a cellular level. Our mood is so intertwined with our hydration. But if you're actually getting sick, we do have a section in your manual, the immune protocol, and it helps to make your immune system more resilient. There's a prevention section and a actively fighting section.
Yeah, so we want to separate those out because there's how to prevent different infections and support the immune response long term. And then there's the short term of when you're actively fighting something, how to mitigate that and help your body to recover.
Absolutely. And in prevention protocol, you're already going to be doing a lot of this automatically with the program. No dairy, no sugar, no grains. I mean, all of those things are going to help us in the prevention process. And keep these immune protocol in mind for in the future, or if you or your friends or your family get sick too, this is a great protocol for that.
If you can, making time for extra sleep, making sure you're under regular, consistent chiropractic care. There's a number of great strategies a person can implement there.
Yep. And there are several supplements that are added onto the protocols. It's not about doing every single supplement that's on there, but sometimes if we can add in some vitamin D or some zinc or some elderberry syrup, some of those practices can be really supportive if you're feeling your immune system is taking a tank. At the very end of your manual, there's a section labeled food journal. And in your food journal, this is great for accountability. We can list the foods that we have, log our weight, our glucose, ketones. If you're having any blood pressure regulation issues, this is a great place to log that as well. Plus checking off your supplements as we move along too. If you've taken them for the day, any notes that you would like to put in there, things that went great that day, things maybe that you struggled with, and then you can bring this to your appointment with your coach and you can review them at one of your future appointments.
With that, we should have everything that you need to get going into phase 1.